Goku is considered the most popular anime character of all time, so if you've heard about him, you probably know about Dragon Ball. I, like many people around the world, love Dragon Ball, but one thing we could all probably agree on is that Dragon Ball's power scaling is absurd. The progression of the characters going arc to arc is crazy, to the point where power scaling debates are now heavily biased. However, if you don't believe power scaling is absurd, it's okay. You're free to believe what you want. Now back to the video. I made two systems to show how insane power scaling has always been since Dragon Ball Z. The first system I will use is official power level readings. This system only includes official scouter readings. To explain what a scouter is, if you don't know, it's basically a machine that you can wear, and it tells you the power level or basically how strong a certain person is. This is just put in simple terms, but now let's get into the actual power scaling. Okay, so the Scouters are introduced in the Saiyan saga with the arrival of Raditz. So the first reading is from the strongest character in the verse being Farmer with Shotgun, having a power level of 5. Do not worry though, that power level of 5 is just a trick, as World Champ Hercule would say. The next two readings come from Goku and Piccolo having power levels of 334 and 322. However, during their fight with Raditz, Goku and Piccolo take off their weighted clothes and their power levels rise to 416 and 408. Now, this may sound crazy, but this isn't even their peak, because in Dragon Ball, power level increases depending on the ki concentration and output of a character, or at least it seems like it because whenever Goku charges his Kamehameha, his power level increases past 924. Then to end off the fight, Piccolo charges his Makan Kosapu, or better known as Special Beam Cannon if you watch Dragon Ball in English, and sorry if I mispronounced that, but while charging this attack, Piccolo's power level reaches 1330 and is enough to finish off Raditz along with Goku. After this fight, however, Bulma fixes Raditz's scouter and does a scan of the Z fighters. Their power levels are as follows: Roshi at 139, Yamcha at 177, Krillin at 206, Tien Shinhan or Tien at 250, and Piccolo increases to 329 after the fight. Those numbers, however, are their base power level, as we saw that power level can increase depending on ki concentration and output, like shown during the fight with Raditz. Just in case you're curious, I didn't include Gohan in this because even though he does have confirmed power level readings, his power level changes a lot depending on emotions whenever he's a kid. So I wouldn't want to compare him whenever his readings are usually whoppy depending on his emotions. Now on to the next part of the Saiyan saga, we have Nappa and Vegeta's arrival to Earth. I believe there is about a year in between these two arcs, so the characters have about a year to train until the arrival of these Saiyans. Once the Saiyans arrive, they do a scan on Gohan, Piccolo, and Krillin, each of these reading at 981, 1220, and 1083. There is definitely lots of improvement between these two arcs, and remember that these are only their base since their power level can increase. Now, joining these previously mentioned characters, I believe, is Tien, Chiaotzu, and Yamcha, and these guys try to fight Nappa, but he basically has a field day with them until Goku arrives, and his whopping 5,000 power level is already impressive, but he quickly powers up to 8,000, and this gives us the legendary line of "it's over 9,000." Goku going from 5,000 to 8,000 in split seconds is a great example of the power level increase, showing the difference between base and powering up, as there is whopping 3,000 points in between these readings. Goku then uses the Kaioken, which is a technique that, put in simple terms, multiplies your power level and other stats at the cost of stamina. So a regular Kaioken is basically a 2 times multiplier. And then whenever he says Kaioken times 3, that's 3 times, and so on. Goku and Vegeta fight, and during their fight, Goku pushes up to Kaioken times 3, so his power level is at 21,000, as read by Bulma before her scouter fries. And then Vegeta and Goku have a beam clash, in which Goku has to push up to Kaioken times 4 in order to prevent the Earth from being destroyed. Goku wins this clash momentarily until Vegeta turns into a Great Ape. Vegeta in his Great Ape form doesn't have a confirmed power level rating, I think, so I won't talk much about him besides what I already did. So moving on from him, the MVP saves Earth as he cuts off Vegeta's tail, causing him to untransform from his Grade 8 form. This is basically the end of the Saiyan saga. Of course, there are more power level ratings throughout the arcs, but as the power levels keep increasing, scouters become less relevant to the story as these can't keep up with the characters' powers. Now, working with the readings that we have from the Saiyan saga, we can clearly see a big jump in power from every Z fighter, and this should probably tell us that power scaling is already a bit too crazy just starting off the story. This marks the end of this segment of the video, and if you're wondering how do you measure power levels in the future, well, the answer is you don't, because they get really crazy to the point which I don't even think nothing like can track power levels now. So the next system I'll be using is called character statements. Since we can't have scouters track power anymore, we have to trust the characters going on. But before we move on, there is a statement made in the Saiyan saga I want to cover really quick. And in this panel here, Nappa states that each of the Cybermen are equal to Raditz with a power level of over 1200. Taking this into consideration, this encounter between Yamcha and the Cybermen results in an easy win for Yamcha until he gets blown up by a Cyberman. But that's not the point, because the point trying to be made here is that Yamcha took down an opponent stated to be equal to Raditz, and he is the weakest Z fighter, so this means that hypothetically every Z fighter should be able to take down Raditz in a 1v1 because they are stronger than Yamcha. And this I know already sounds crazy because it took Goku and Piccolo to barely take down Raditz. Now with this out of the way, I will answer the question that is in the thumbnail of this video. Who is stronger between full power Jiren and the Gamas, or specifically just one of the Gamas? Well, the answer is actually quite simple, but there's probably bias that people will be like, oh, it must be Jiren, right? But no, because considering the insane progression we saw in the Saiyan saga, we can assume that after every arc, the characters get much stronger than before, even if it's just like still the same arc. So, to put this into perspective, here is the outline of Dragon Ball Super after the Tournament of Power. There is the Tournament of Power, and then after that, there's the Moro arc, followed by the Granola arc, and finally, Superhero. With this, you can probably tell that the characters are going to be much stronger because there is already a couple of arcs in between these. However, this isn't very convincing to some people, probably, not even to me, so using character statements for this fight, we will be trusting Piccolo. In Superhero, Piccolo states that the Gammas are equal to Goku and Vegeta based off his fight with Gamma 2. So, assuming that he's talking about the last time he saw them, we would be going back to the Moro arc, since I'm not sure if he's in the Granola arc. I don't know, I haven't read it yet. But in this arc, Piccolo says that Goku is much stronger in Super Saiyan Blue than he was before. And obviously, this before he's talking about is Goku during the Tournament of Power. Or he could be comparing him to an earlier version of Goku that's in the Moro arc using Super Saiyan Blue. But either way, this version should still be stronger than Tournament of Power Goku using Super Saiyan Blue. However, people don't trust Piccolo because in this panel, Piccolo says he doesn't know how strong Goku is since he can't read his ki. And most likely this means in God Ki since Goku is in Super Saiyan Blue, I believe. And what makes this previous statement reliable? Well, as we know, Piccolo is actually capable of reading Moro's ki. So Goku in Super Saiyan Blue is somewhat relative to this form of Moro that he's fighting. So assuming this is the Goku that Piccolo is talking about in the superhero movie, then this means that the Gammas are relatively close to Jiren. And I'm not gonna get into much detail about this encounter, but there is this video that I saw about how strong the Gammas are, and I really liked it. It's very it explains their power really well. So I'll link it in the description for you guys to check it out. And in my opinion, one of the Gammas is enough to defeat Tournament of Power Jiren. And then this brings up another argument of, are the Gammas stronger than Tournament of Power MUI? Orange Piccolo one shot Gamma 2. So does that mean he can one shot the Tournament of Power? Well, here's my answer. I don't want to discuss power levels anymore, so I'm going to end off this video. If you guys want to see more Dragon Ball videos or other animes being covered in my channel in the future, be sure to comment down and I'll try my best. Or, I don't know, just comment down something you want to see since my channel is just bouncing around topics that I find interesting so far. But be sure to enjoy your day and make smart choices. See you guys in the next video.